The Constitution of India, Preamble. We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic and to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact and give to ourselves this Constitution.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the biology class. In the previous class, we have discussed on the internal structure of heart. Hope you all have thoroughly studied it. It is very important, and from the explanation and the figure, you could have understood the blood vessels that come to the heart and the blood vessels that leave the heart, right? So, in the human circulatory system, heart plays very important role. Along with the heart, the blood vessels also play a very important role in circulating blood into different parts of the body. Clear? Okay. So, the blood vessels, mainly three types of blood vessels are there: arteries, veins and capillaries. So, now we are going to discuss about the structural peculiarities of veins, arteries and capillaries. Okay. So, let us see from where does these capillaries form, or how do capillaries form. Okay. So, let us watch the smart class and understand about the capillaries. Okay. So, children, here you can see a artery. This is a large artery, and this large artery splits into small arteries, and these small arteries again splits into very small arteries, and these very small arteries are known as the very small blood vessels are known as the capillaries. And these small capillaries, I think you can see it here, these small capillaries further join together or unite together to form small veins, and these small veins join together to form large veins, and these large veins again join together to form the largest veins in the body, and finally these veins they carry blood they reach the heart. These large veins finally reach the heart. So, these are the blood capillaries, and these capillaries are formed from the arteries, and these capillaries join together to form the veins. So, from this you can also understand one thing: these capillaries, they join the arteries with the veins. Clear, children? So, the capillaries, they join the arteries with the veins. So, the main arteries that that originate from the heart splits into small arteries, and again these small arteries split into again small arteries, and these small blood vessels or small arteries are the capillaries, and later on these small capillaries join together to form small veins, and these small veins join together to form some more bigger veins, and finally all these veins unite together to form the large veins, and these large veins finally reach the heart. Clear, all of you? Now let us study the structural peculiarities of arteries, veins and capillaries. Okay, how far their structure is able to transport blood into different part of the body or circulate blood into all parts of the body. Okay. So dear children, this is the artery, and arteries have thick wall, and the name of the three layers no need to study, because that you will be studying in the higher classes. Okay. So in general, arteries have thick wall, and each wall has its own name, and you can see here the blood flows through the arteries. Understood? And the outer layer is elastic in nature. That means it can expand and contract. And why the outer wall of artery is elastic? Why it is expand and contract? Because blood flows through the artery with a high speed and high pressure. Okay. So the main features of arteries are they carry blood from the heart to different part of the body. Arteries carry blood from the heart to different part of the body, and they have a thick wall, and the outer wall is elastic in nature. That means it can expand and contract, and through the arteries blood flows with a high speed and high pressure. Clear? Okay. Now we'll move on to the veins. So children, here you can see the capillaries and the small veins, and the veins usually carry blood from or bring blood from different part of the body to the heart. So this is the structure of vein. So the veins also have three layers. I told you already the name of the layers, no need to study. And you can see here the blood flows through it, and a valve, you can see a valve here. See, this is a valve. Valves are seen inside the veins, and blood flows with a low speed and low pressure through the veins. This is the internal structure or inner side of the vein you are seeing now, and the veins also have three layers, and the outer, in the case of artery I told you the outer layer is elastic, and here in the case of vein also the outer layer is elastic in nature. And in veins you can see valves. Valves are seen inside the veins, and this valve ensures the flow of blood through veins only in one direction. You know that through the veins the blood flows back to the heart. That is, against the force of gravity the blood flows through the veins. So these valves ensures the flow of blood only in one direction, that is towards the heart. Okay. Then here you can see the blood flows with a low speed and a low pressure. The reason is here the veins bring blood back to the heart. So normally the pressure and the speed of blood will be low inside the veins. നമ്മൾ ഒരു ഓസ് ഇട്ടിട്ട് വെള്ളം പിടിക്കുമ്പോൾ അതിൻ്റെ പ്രഷറും ഫോഴ്സും കുറവായിരിക്കും അല്ലേ. അതേസമയം നമ്മൾ മോട്ടർ ഓൺ ചെയ്ത് വെള്ളം പമ്പ് ചെയ്യണ സമയത്ത് അതിൻ്റെ ഫോഴ്സും പ്രഷറും കൂടുതലായിരിക്കും. അതേമാതിരി തന്നെയാണ് ഇവിടെ സംഭവിക്കുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ വെയിൻസിൽ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ വെയിൻസ് ബ്ലഡ് ഹാർട്ടിലേക്ക് ബ്ലഡ് കൊണ്ടുവന്ന് നിറയ്ക്കുകയാണ്. അതേസമയം ആർട്ടറീസ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഹാർട്ടിൽ നിന്ന് ബ്ലഡ് പമ്പ് ചെയ്യുകയാണ്. അപ്പോൾ അവിടെ എപ്പോഴും ആർട്ടറീസിൽ കൂടെ ഒഴുകുന്ന ബ്ലഡിൽ അതിൻ്റെ പ്രഷറും ഫോഴ്സും എപ്പോഴും കൂടുതലായിരിക്കും. ഓക്കെ. അപ്പോൾ വെയിൻസിൻ്റെ സ്ട്രക്ചർ നമ്മൾ ഇൻ ജനറൽ പറയുകയാണെങ്കിൽ വെയിൻസ് ബ്രിങ് ബ്ലഡ് ഫ്രം ഡിഫറെൻറ്റ് പാർട്ട് ഓഫ് ദ ബോഡി ടു ദി ഹാർട്ട്. വാൽവ്സ് ആർ സീൻ ഇൻസൈഡ് ദ വെയിൻസ്, ആൻഡ് blood flows with a low speed and low pressure, and the outer wall is elastic in nature. That means it can expand and contract. Then it is thin walled. Compared to arteries, veins are thin walled. So these are the structural peculiarities of veins. Clear? Okay. Now let us study about the capillaries also. Already I have shown you the capillaries. So capillaries are also thin walled, and its outer wall is made up of single layer of cells, and valves are absent in the capillaries, and blood flows with a low speed and low pressure through the capillaries, and minute pores are present in the capillaries. Okay. So why these minute pores are seen in the capillaries, all those things we will be studying in the coming classes. So these are the structural peculiarities of arteries, veins and capillaries. Hope you all have understood. Let us study the working of the heart. As you all know that the heart beats continuously with a rhythm, isn't it? So this rhythmic beating of heart is made possible by the continuous contraction and relaxation of the heart muscles. So the initiation of the contraction and relaxation of the muscles in the heart and the regulation of the heartbeat is controlled by sinoatrial node or SA node, which is located in the upper part of the right atrium, that is the right atrial wall. Understood? That is, SA node or sinoatrial node controls the contraction and relaxation of the muscles in the heart as well as the rate of the heartbeat. So, if the sinoatrial node or SA node is not functioning properly, the rhythmic beating of heart becomes unrhythmic and it is life threatening. So, it has to be resolved very shortly. So, no need of any tension. Nowadays, there is a solution for this issue. The science has made possible to transplant artificial pacemaker beneath the skin through surgery, and this artificial pacemaker will function exactly like the SA node in the heart. And SA node or sinoatrial node, it works like an electric cell as it produces electrical signals in the heart, so that it works like an electrical cell. Clear all of you? Okay. So SA node is very important. SA node or sinoatrial node is very important. It has two main functions. One is it initiates the contraction and relaxation of the muscles in the heart, and it regulates the rate of heartbeat. A heartbeat regulate ചെയ്യുക, അതായത് അത് കൂടാതെയും കുറയാതെയും കറക്റ്റായിട്ട് റെഗുലേറ്റ് ചെയ്യുക. അതിൻ്റെ ഒപ്പം ഈ കോൺട്രാക്ഷനെയും റിലാക്സേഷനെയും ഹാർട്ടിൻ്റെ മസിൽസിൻ്റെ കോൺട്രാക്ഷനെയും റിലാക്സേഷനെയും ഇനീഷ്യേറ്റീവ് അത് ഉണ്ടാവാനായിട്ട് ഈ മസിൽസ് കോൺട്രാക്റ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നതും റിലാക്സ് ചെയ്യുന്നതും ഈ SA നോഡിൽ നിന്നുള്ള സിഗ്നൽസ് വരുമ്പോഴാണ്. അപ്പോൾ SA നോഡിൻ്റെ ഫങ്ഷനിങ്ങിൽ എന്തെങ്കിലും ഒരു പ്രോബ്ലം വന്നു കഴിയുമ്പോൾ പ്രോപ്പറായിട്ടുള്ള സിഗ്നൽസ് കിട്ടാതെ ഹാർട്ട് മസിൽസ് കോൺട്രാക്ഷനും റിലാക്സേഷനും ഉണ്ടാവില്ല. അതേപോലെ തന്നെ ഈ ഹാർട്ട് ബീറ്റിൻ്റെ ഒരു റേറ്റിലും ഡിഫറൻസ് വരും. സോ ഡെഫിനറ്റ്ലി ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് എ ലൈഫ് ത്രെറ്റനിങ്. Okay, so this is very important examination point of view I am telling, and the position of SA node is on the right atrial wall, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ നമുക്ക് പറയാം it is on the upper part of the right atrium. Clear? Okay. So I told you, now we are going to discuss about the working of the heart. Okay. As you all know that blood comes to the heart and leaves the heart. That means blood, the arteries that carries blood from the heart and veins bring blood to the heart. Okay. So let us discuss it with the help of a video in the smart class. So children, we have already learned the internal structure. Still you can see here, these are the two atria and these are the ventricles. This is right atrium, this is left atrium, this is right ventricle, this is left ventricle, and this is the septum or the muscular wall that separates the right side and left side of the heart. And you know that the tricuspid valve, this is the tricuspid valve present between the right atrium and the right ventricle, and this is the bicuspid valve or mitral valve seen between the left atrium and the left ventricle. And this is the pulmonary valve. They are also known as semilunar valves. This is aortic valve and this is pulmonary valve, and you know the functions, isn't it? Okay. So here you can see, children, now the vena cava brings blood to the right atrium and the pulmonary veins brings blood to the left atrium, and this is deoxygenated blood and this is oxygenated blood. And when the atria fill with the blood, they contract. These two atria contract and blood flows to the ventricles. This is right ventricle and this is left ventricle. And when the atria fill with the blood has to flow to the ventricle. So the tricuspid valve and the bicuspid valve, the valve present between the right atrium and right ventricle is known as the tricuspid valve, and the valve present between the left atrium and left ventricle is known as bicuspid valve. These two valves open and blood from the right atrium and the left atrium flows to the right ventricle and the left ventricle. I will show you it. Now the blood flows to the ventricle and the two valves open. Now the atria relaxes and the valves closes. Once the blood flows into the ventricles from the atria, the tricuspid valve and the bicuspid valve close and the atria, both the atria, the right atrium and the left atrium relax. Okay. Now you can see here the ventricles are filled with the blood. So once they fill with the blood, the ventricles contracts and the blood pumps to the pulmonary artery and the aorta. Okay. And the blood that flows from the atria to the ventricles never flow back to the atria, because I told you once the blood flows to the ventricles from the atria, the tricuspid valve and the bicuspid valve close. So these valves prevent the backward flow of blood from the ventricles to the atria. Okay. Now blood is filled in the ventricles. The ventricle is ready to contract. Let us see what happens. Now the ventricles contracts and blood pumps to the pulmonary artery and aorta, and the valves, the pulmonary valve and the you can see here the aortic valve and the pulmonary valve opens. Okay. Now you can see here the ventricles contracts and the pulmonary valve and the aorta opens and blood pumps to the pulmonary artery and the aorta, and once the blood flows to the pulmonary artery and aorta, the pulmonary valve and the aortic valve close. So this prevents the backward flow of blood from the pulmonary artery and aorta to the right ventricle and the left ventricle. So the pulmonary valve prevents the backward flow of blood from the pulmonary artery to the right ventricle, and the aortic valve prevents the backward flow of blood from the aorta to the left ventricle. So this is how the heart functions. Okay, and now you have heard the sound of the rhythmic beat of heart, isn't it? The lub dub sound. Okay, so the lub sound is we hear the lub sound when the tricuspid valve and the bicuspid valve closes, and immediately after the lub sound we can hear the dub sound, and this dub sound is formed when the semilunar valves, that is the pulmonary valve and aortic valve, when it closes, the dub sound is formed. Clear all of you? The lub dub sound, that rhythm, the rhythmic beating or the rhythmic sound we all can feel, isn't it? So the lub sound is produced when the tricuspid valve and bicuspid valve closes, and the dub sound is formed when the pulmonary valve and aortic valve close. Okay, so this is how our heart is working. That is, the pulmonary vein and vena cava, they bring blood to the heart. You know that the vena cava bring deoxygenated blood from various parts of the body to the right atrium, and the pulmonary vein brings pure blood, oxygenated blood from the lungs to the left atrium. And when the right atrium and the left atrium filled with the blood, they contract. As a result, the tricuspid valve and the bicuspid valve open and blood flows to the ventricles. Once the blood flows to the ventricles, the tricuspid valve and bicuspid valve close, and subsequently the ventricles contract and blood pumps to the pulmonary artery and the aorta. So in order to flow blood to the pulmonary artery and the aorta, the pulmonary valve and the aortic valve opens. And once blood flows to the pulmonary artery and the aorta, the pulmonary valve and aortic valve close to prevent the backward flow of blood from the pulmonary artery to the right ventricle and aorta to the left ventricle. Hope it is clear. Okay, you know that the blood supplies oxygen to the cells and receive carbon dioxide from the cells, isn't it? So the reception of oxygen and the expulsion of carbon dioxide take place in the lungs. Okay, if so, what is the reason behind why the blood in the vena cava is deoxygenated and the blood that brings the pulmonary vein is oxygenated? Okay, so the answer for this question we will discuss in the next class. Now I am going to wind up the class. Hope you all have understood the concepts that we have discussed today, and in the first part of this class I explained about the blood vessels. So in that portion one table has given, you have to fill that and write in the file, and in the second portion, the working of the heart, a flow chart is given. So listen to the video carefully and fill that flow chart and write it in the file. Okay, and without any file you have to send me the files. After each class send the files to me, so I will correct it and send it back to you. Okay, and again I am reminding you, this chapter is very very important and very very interesting to study. So take your own time and study the concepts thoroughly. If you have any doubt in any point, call me and clarify your doubts. Okay, so thank you. Have a nice day.